Okay guys, I had a couple of ladies say to me that they really want to do some beanies, but they cannot crochet in the round. They can only crochet a square or a straight line. So this is a big experiment. Not sure that it's going to work, but I did this one in newborn. I'm going to have to send this off to someone with a bub and just check to see that the sizes are correct before we get too excited about it. But what I've worked out is how to convert the beanie patterns that I've got on my files section into square beanies. So we can get a piece that is a square, turn it into a beanie, and those of you who cannot crochet in the round can still join in and crochet for the Preemie babies and just do the square beanies. So every size is going to work out. The principle is going to be exactly the same for every single size. This size is the 2 to 3.5 pound Preemie baby. So what you need to do to work out the size of your rectangle, I was going to say square, but it's more of a rectangle, is take the number of stitches after your full increase on whatever size, from Preemie all the way up to adult, whatever size you're going to do. After you finish all your increase rounds, take the number of stitches that you have. This one had 24 in total and to keep doing the rest of the hat. So we don't want the smaller section where we're doing the increases to make it larger. We want the larger section. So once you finish your increase, count how many stitches you have, and that is the number of stitches that you need to have to make your rectangle. You need to halve that number. So this was 24. So what we need to do to get this size beanie in a square beanie is to chain 12. And then whatever you're doing, whatever stitch you're doing, you'll need your turning stitches at the end of your row. So if you're doing the half double crochet like this, you'll need 12 plus 1 turning chain. If you're doing a double crochet, you'll need 2, triple crochet, and you'll need 3. But we're just going to do half double crochet today. And as far as this length part, we need double the length from the crown to the brim, because we're going to fold this over. So this one, I'm pretty sure, was 4 inches. Yeah. So this piece here needs to be 8 inches in length, so that when we fold it over, we have 4 inches from top to bottom. And that will be the same as this size beanie. And so this goes for any size. This is a newborn. The same principle every size. You've fallen asleep there, Justin. And then all we do is single crochet down each side, pinch a couple of little ears and make a couple of little ears, and we have a beanie. So I'll go through a couple of lines with you, and then we'll go through putting this together. And yeah, give it a go. Try to convert the sizes that are on the patterns that are in the file section of the group, guys. And if anyone else does watch this, it's on YouTube now. So the group will be in the description box. If anybody wants to join and make up some Preemie hats for hospitals around their area, wherever you're from, you're more than welcome to. We're happy to share with everybody. We just want some little babies to keep nice and warm. So this is, this lot of hats will be heading off to Wodonga Hospital, because they did put a post out saying that they're in desperate need of beanies and things for Preemies. So that's what this one's for. But I mean, after they've sort of got what they need, I'm sure we'll do plenty more for different hospitals around. But let's get this going. I'm sure everybody knows how to do your chains. If you are a total beginner crocheter and you don't know how to do your chaining stitch, there are plenty of videos on YouTube teaching you how to do a chain. So I will get the hook into the wool and do a chain of 12 plus 1 for my turning chain, and we'll go through a couple of rows, and then we'll join this all together and make a beanie. Okay, so I've done a chain of 13, which is 12 plus my turning chain, and I'm just going to do half double crochets all the way along on this foundation chain. This is the most awkward part, is your very first row, because you've really got nothing to hang on to. Now we don't crochet into this very first chain on the hook, that's our turning chain. We crochet into the second, and I'm just doing half double crochets. You can do any stitch that you like, you can go fancy, you can do whatever you like. I would suggest doing a couple of basic lines so you've got something to hang on to before you do any sort of fancy stitches if you're going to do them, and then a couple of lines at the other end as well, so it's even when you turn them over. We're just doing a half double crochet, which is under, yarn over, pop that through the loop, come back, got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And we're going to do that all the way along our foundation chain. As I said, this one is the most awkward line that you'll do because you've got nothing to hold on to. So we'll just go in every single crochet all the way along till we get to the end, making sure you have 12 stitches. I'll keep going all the way along and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so we've done our awkward line. I sort of did that off camera to a large part because it was just too hard to stay in frame as well as try to do that. So we've got our 12 stitches all the way across. Now all we need to do is we need to yarn over and chain 1 for our turning chain, turn our work around and go back again doing our 12 half double crochets all the way along. So again into that second chain from the hook, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over again, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now when you're doing the second stitch, other than this little chain one, you've only got one sort of piece of yarn on the top of your hook. When you're doing this, you're actually going through 2. So when you yarn over and go through, you'll have like a little V on the top there. So you're going through that whole V part, and then you're yarning over, pulling through. You've got your 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now the only tricky bit, I would count your stitches because sometimes the one on the very end can go around the corner a little bit and it can be a little bit hard to see. And if you miss a stitch, you will not have a straight piece or a straight rectangle. Your edges will be all funny. So just count your stitches down as you go so that you make sure that you are doing 12 stitches all the way across. So I'll meet you at the end. I'll show you that stitch that can be a little bit weird, and we'll go around and we'll do one more line, and then we'll come to the other piece I've already done and we'll stitch it up, because this line just repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats until you get to your whatever length that you want to do. So it's no use watching the whole piece because, as I said, it just repeats over and over and over and over again. So that's why I did the other one off camera, so that we don't have to sit through the whole lot, because it's exactly the same. Okay, I'll be back with you once I get right down to this end and show you that stitch that can sort of curve over a bit. Okay, now I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the way as best as I can here, guys. I do apologise for that. We will get better as we sort of work that out, but it's very difficult to stay in frame as well as keep my hands out of the way. We're right down towards the last stitch, and you can see that the last stitch here sort of curves around just slightly, but that is a stitch. If you miss that, you're going to have a really wonky. The first scarf I ever made, oh my goodness, it was like an hourglass because I kept missing these last stitches. So we just yarn over, find where that stitch is, pop our hook in there, pull through, yarn over. We've got our 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Now the same as before, we do 1 turning chain, turn our work, and then we start on the second chain from the hook. So that one's your turner, and then the second chain in here you do your first half double crochet or whatever stitch, as said, that you want to do, and then you just repeat, do your 12 down there, 1, turn your work, keep coming back, and we keep going until you get, well, for this length we need 8 inches. So we've done this one here, so I'll just I'll take the hook out of here and put it back in here and show you what to do. So I'll be back with you in a second.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back to finish up our beanie. This wool is not actually as nice as the Marley wool. I don't know what brand this was. This was actually donated, and it's splitting, and it's not consistent either. You can see here it looks a lot thicker, and here the wool is really, really thin, and it's thinned down. So this was only a bit of an experiment to see if these would work. So this won't be going to the bubs. This is only for sort of demonstration purposes. But I would pick the side that you like the best for your beanie. So if you decide now, it's up to you whether you do the stitching on the sides when we're stitching it together on the inside or on the outside. If your wool is really, really soft, it doesn't matter. If your wool is not as soft as you're hoping for, do the stitching on the outside, because when you're doing babies this little, their skin is almost transparent. So we really don't want any seams on the inside if they're sort of going to maybe be a bit irritating. There are notes in the top of the pattern and the files, thanks to Vilma, on how to soften up if you do copper wool that doesn't work up as soft as you were hoping, how to soften up your beanie after you've made it. So be sure to have a read of that, because that was really good. Thanks, Vilma, for that. But yeah, this one will do to where we turn it inside out. I'll do the seams on the inside. So all we do is we have our beanie, and that makes us have our hook down at the bottom. So we'll match up here. Now there's no stitches along here. You just sort of guess. You don't want to do too many because it will pucker. But what you want to make sure that you do is we're just single crocheting. So we're putting in one side, but just lift that and make sure you get a corresponding space on the other side, because otherwise your beanie is going to be uneven on the bottom. So just bring that through, yarn over and pull through. So instead of yarning over first, this is literally just a single crochet. Just make sure, as I said, that you're catching both sides, yarning over at the back, coming through and working your stitch. There's no rules on how many stitches you need to put, but I have found I tried to do them quite close together because it looked a little better. However, it does pucker a little bit if you do that. So you don't really have to do a lot of stitches. Just find your hole. I'm sort of doing them about 1 centimeter, I'd say, apart. And I'm just single crocheting the two sides together. You can do a whip stitch if you want to do a whip stitch. And if you want to do your stitches on the outside, you can even do a blanket stitch or anything like that. It doesn't matter. As long as we join these two sides, it's not important. So however you want to stitch the sides of your beanie together, I just found this way an easy way to do. It's probably a bit hard to, I did a double crochet then, sorry guys. A bit hard to see this one on camera because it's such a dark wool. I actually had trouble crocheting this because our lights are not great in the lounge room. Okay, so I'll continue to go up there, and then I will show you how to do the other side as well. Okay, so to do the other side, I've just knotted another piece of wool onto the bottom, and I'm going to poke my needle right through the hook, right through the bottom to catch both sides. This wool's splitting again. Oh, this wool is terrible. Okay, and then do the same thing on this side, about every centimetre, going through both pieces of wool. Do a single crochet all the way up to the top. I'll do that off camera because this wool is absolutely terrible, and then we'll come back to tuck in those ends and poke these ends through to the front so we can do a few little bunny ears, and we're all done. Okay, now that the sides are single crocheted together, I want to stitch in these tails at the bottom. So we do that just exactly the same way as you do the other beanie. Just thread through, pull your knot so it hides up into the beanie, and then either go up or thread through your thicker stitches to hide that tail and chop it off. So I'll keep going and doing that. I'll do this side. After that, I'm going to turn this one inside out so we hide this, because this wool is just terrible. So I'm going to grab a needle and poke these two through to the front so I can use those to make my little bunny ears, and I'll meet you back once I'm at that point.
Okay.
Okay, so we've turned it inside out and we've got pushed our tags back out. We just want to pinch the corners because we want to make a little ear. So I'll just put that through to about where we want it, and then go straight through and go back and forth a few times to create your little ear, and do that on both sides. Tie it off and I'll come back and show you once it's done. Okay guys, I know that last bit was really quick, but we're running out of memory, so we had to finish up really fast. If you need, here's our little beanie all done. If you need any sort of extra bits on anything that we had to go too fast through, let me know and I'll go through that with you on the group. Happy crocheting guys, have fun.